Our first guest is a journalist and author who's made his career specializing in Latin America and its tangled and often brutal politics. He's written many things, and this fascinating book on Paraguay and its new president, Fernando Lugo, a former priest who embraced the liberation theology and who swept away the world's longest-standing dictatorship, the 60-year rule of General Alfredo Stroessner. Hugh O'Shaughnessy, welcome. I've been an admirer of your work for, seems like decades, and yet you're still sprightly and still interested in change in Latin America. Tell us about this turbulent priest.
He is an exceptional person. I met him for the first time, though I've been going to Paraguay for decades, as you say, George. I met him last year, just after he'd had a landslide victory at the polls, and before he took up his job as president. He impressed me very much. I thought, there's a book in it, and there was. I got teamed up with a Paraguayan friend, and we produced a small volume, and I'm happy with it.
Well, he's a former priest, but a priest of distinctly Latin American kind. Not all children who call him father are his own children, but he does seem to have some children. That didn't count against him.
It didn't, because he's been fighting his own battle against the Vatican. A couple of years ago, he wrote to the Pope and said, Holy Father, I want to stop being a bishop here in San Pedro, this poor diocese you put me into a decade ago. I've done 10 years. I now want to be a politician. And so the Pope wrote back, I think, more or less a one-word reply, which was no. And then Fernando Lugo stood for the presidency, won, as I say, by a landslide majority, and the letter, I'm not sure it was signed by the Sovereign Pontiff, but it came back saying, when I said no, I meant yes. And he sent him, the Pope sent him a little gift, a pen, which I suppose he uses for signing decrees and the reformist campaign he started on. He's doing very well. He's just completed a first year in office, and he's doing exceptionally well.
Well, tell us about the dictatorship that was swept away. 60 years of Stroessner. That's a long, long innings.
Yes, he was president for about 40, but the Colorado Party, the Reds, the only place...
Very, very far from being Reds, yes.
The only place in Latin America where the United States has been happy with a Red government was when it was a right-wing conservative government. It was a terrible place. It was a place addicted to torture, and Stroessner himself was very addicted to sex, especially with the under-12s. He was very keen for fresh blood as often as he could get it.
My goodness.
So with sex and politics, you had two ingredients for this book. There's violence and religion. So with sex, violence, religion and politics, I think my co-author Edgar and I...
You've got a bestseller on your hands by the sounds of it. Now, how does Fernando Lugo fit into the emerging crop or generation of new leaders in Latin America? Is he as left-wing as Chavez, or is he more on the Lula and the Chilean model? Where does he stand on the political spectrum?
Well, I think that he is ploughing his own furrow. Paraguay is a small country, 7 million people. They can't pretend that they're ever going to rule the world, even South America. So he has to go along with the cards he's given, and they're a pretty bad lot of cards. But with those cards, he's done wonders in his first year, just finished. Paraguay and its enormous neighbor to the east, Brazil, have been sitting for some decades now on a wonderful resource which is the world's biggest hydroelectric scheme, Itaipu. Now, when the deal was got together, most of the money went to Brazil, and the Stroessner mumbled and complained, but he didn't get much out of the Brazilians, and most of the Brazilians got the great benefit. Now, in the past year, Lugo has been sitting down with the President of Brazil and getting a new deal, which he got about a month ago. It's going to triple the income from Itaipu for the Paraguayan people, and that's a very good thing, and he's very, very popular now in Asunción, the capital of Paraguay.
What's the wealth disparity in the country?
It's
is it
terrible. It's
on
terrible.
the usual Latin American
scale? On the usual
scale?
Latin American lines. The Stroessner regime, the so-called Reds, the Colorados, made sure that the cream went to the very top, and the distribution of income, distribution of land is absolutely terrible, and that didn't stop the Western powers saying, of course, Paraguay is part of the free world, and we must look after it. And they did, the free world. And Stroessner prospered.
I'm sure he prospered, but let's hope there are better days ahead, and let's hope we have you back on the Real Deal again soon, because there's no one who knows more about Latin America than Hugh O'Shaughnessy. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay with us. There's much more coming up after this.